My name is Joe. Well, Carl helped me get 3 charges dismissed.
Well, you helped me move a lot of furniture, too.
Oh, yeah, I did help that a little bit. Yeah.
That's right. You came
I
here and helped me.
enjoyed that. So, but anyway, good to hear you, Carl. I just wanted to share kind of what happened. On December 21st, I was arrested in my home, and I had, actually it was 4 charges, but one was my wife had a charge against me, and which she dismissed. But a lot of times they don't let the wife dismiss charges on husbands. The state will pick it up and carry it. Yeah, when I went to the hearing the first day, my wife went with me. You know, she was supportive of me, and the judge actually told me that I wasn't supposed to bring her here with me, which, you know, I didn't know. I've never been to court before. I didn't know anything about it. So, but what happened was, we got in an argument, and the cops came, and basically the cop told me to, that he wanted me to go to another room, and I said, no, this is my house. I'll go where I want. He didn't like that, and I used some other language in that. I wasn't very nice, Anyways, so they reached my arm. I withdrew my arm back and told them they were trespassing. They had to leave, and the next thing I know, they had tackled me and taken me to the ground and arrested me. So I spent a day in jail. I was on a video conference for the bail hearing. I've been listening to Carl for, a couple months.
What were you listening to me for if you didn't get in trouble? What was the purpose? How did you find me? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I have some issues with the IRS, and
okay.
So I was introduced to you. Someone had referred me to listen to you, and that's how I got started listening to you.
Okay.
And,
I just always wondered stuff like that. How do people find me? If they're not in trouble, how do they find me?
Yeah,
okay.
I wasn't in trouble. I've never been arrested or nothing. So I just, forget about the taxes, but I was arrested, and when I had the hearing, the bond hearing, I told the magistrate over the video conference. I told him, I said, I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand any of this. And he kind of looked at me and he said, this is not you're not being charged or I forget the word he used. He said, this is just a bail hearing, and he went through all the paperwork, and I ended up signing it. Because
please.
I was in jail.
You're not entering a plea at this time.
Right.
That's what he was telling you. Right. There was no entering of a plea at that time. That's right.
Exactly. That's exactly what he said. I just wanted to get out of jail. I'd never been in jail. I had to go to work the next day. I was afraid to lose my job, so I basically did what they said.
Oh, what kind of job do you got, man? I forgot.
I actually work in an IRS facility for the O&M contractor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I kind of remember you did something with the government, so the getting a conviction was not conducive to employment.
No, I would have lost my job.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. Right, in a nice way. Yeah.
In a heartbeat. So.
Yeah. In a heartbeat, exactly. So you couldn't afford to stick around. Yeah, you couldn't afford to get, assault on police officers, resisting arrest, and all that other stuff. You couldn't afford it.
No, none of that, because I have to, I have to get the clearance, and I don't know if that'll come up, even though it was dismissed. It may. If it wasn't dismissed, I would have lost my job for sure. So.
Right. How fast after you came out did you get in touch with me?
I had been listening to Gus, and I had Gus on the Skype group, and I asked him to ask you to help me, and I think it might have been the very next day after I got out. So I got out at 8 o'clock on Sunday, and I had to go to work. I went to work.
The reason why I ask you guys this all the time is because the people who do well with what I do start acting proactive immediately, not waiting for the plea hearing, not waiting for as soon as you hit the pavement, as soon as you get out of that cage, you start acting proactive, and you start going after the prosecutor. You start pursuing them. because that's what a prosecutor is. A prosecutor is something that pursues. Like my dog's a prosecutor, he'll chase a cat. You turn the table, and instead of having them chase you with a rifle, you come after them and say, wait a second, they don't understand this. They are the prosecutors. They don't know how to be prosecuted. They were only trained to go in one direction. They don't know how to block when you come after them. They only know one style of fighting. You're the defendant. A defendant covers up. A defendant blocks the shots. A defendant is not allowed to strike back. A defendant is not allowed to come forward. A defendant is not allowed to bring in any of his crazy crap. You're in the prosecutor's court. It's the prosecutor's rules. It's the prosecutor's claim. Only the prosecutor sets the tone. He sets the rules. He sets the guidelines. So you've got to start coming after them and saying, oh, no, I'm not going to be taking on the title of defendant. Lovely title, just like Muhammad Ali was, like I say to people all the time. If you gave me the title of a defendant, if Don King came here right now, give me $1 million check, give me the heavyweight crown champion of the world, and say you're the defending champion of the world, so you're the heavyweight champion, I'd be like, wow, look at all the accolades, look at the great title of defendant you gave me. And then he says, oh, yeah, next week, you got to fight Muhammad Ali. I'm like, I don't think I want to be a defendant because I think I'm going to get slaughtered. No, you took on the title, you got to be defendant. I think I'm going to have to recuse myself. I think I'm going to have to gracefully bow out. I think I can't accept such a wonderful gift because now it's a burden and you wouldn't want to do anything to cause harm to your fellow man. And if you make me fight as a defendant, I'm going to get killed. If you make me fight as a defendant, I'm going to lose. So I know you don't want to cause harm to your fellow man, so why would you bestow such a wonderful title, even though it's a lovely title? I can't afford to move forward with such a lovely, gift at this time. That'd be too much of a burden upon me. So thank you, but I'm going to have to, kindly bow out at this time. So, okay, so that's great. I just wanted to get that on everybody's mind. You got to be proactive. As soon as you get a ticket, as soon as you get a citation, as soon as you come out of jail, you got to start pursuing them immediately. So you got in touch with Gus, and then you got in touch with me. Then what happened?
Is basically you talked to me and said, I'm going to try to settle this on a private side, and you explained to me a few things on how to do that, and I started writing letters to the man who was acting as the deputy sheriff that arrested me. Actually, you had me do two things. One was, try to settle it privately with, his name is Joe, and so I started writing a couple letters to him, apologizing basically if I offended him and, if I caused him any harm, I wanted to compensate him. So I wrote...
He charged you with assault, yeah.
Yeah, so I wrote him a few letters, and I also, he asked me to write a letter to the sheriff's department. I found out it wasn't the comptroller, his title wasn't comptroller, it was something else. I offered to pay for their services to come out to my home that night, and compensate them for their services.
Oh, yeah, like bring security system or something like that. Right. I said, right, you've got to compensate them for wasting public resources, on helping you. So, yes. Right, we basically said, where is the bill, and can you itemize the bill and tell us exactly what we owe at the society for, you performing your job so brilliantly, good, kindly police officers.
Right, and he sent me back, the chief deputy sheriff actually wrote me back and said, hey, thank you for offering to pay for our services, but, our services paid for by taxpayers like you, and basically I don't owe them anything. So
it's impossible to equate debt to society, but he made it in a really nice way, which was lovely of him. Instead of him just saying, look, dude, honestly, debt to society, we don't even know where to start. We asked that question. They all looked at us and laughed and said, who knows?
Yeah.
So he wrote a lovely question and said, look, you know what, don't worry, the services that we rendered to you and your family that night on that occasion, it's on us because good people like you, who pay your taxes every year, affords us to be able to do such a wonderful service to our community. There you go. He wrote a really nice letter back.
Yeah, and it basically said that I didn't owe them a debt. And, I've been listening to you and learning these things, and basically a charge means a debt, or guilt. Guilt means debt. And, the fact that I didn't owe a debt.
Right, the word guilt is from German, when it just means, if you say the word guilt in people in Germany, they said that you just said the word debt to them, like DEBT, debt. So if there is no debt, there is no guilt. So when you go for a plea, they say, well, there's no debt here. So if there's no debt, there's no guilt. Well, how do you want to plea? Nobody's saying I owe a debt. There you go.
But then shortly after that, I think it was 7 or 8 letters that I had written, and I then got 4 notices to appear, 1 for each charge. I was
when we actually summons to appear that for a plea to plea.
The date on the notice to appear was March 5th.
Okay, so you got arrested in December. That makes January, February, March, basically January, February. Okay, 2.5 months. You're saying basically like 80 days, something like that, 75, 80 days.
60, 70 days, something like that.
Okay, good. Because what I'm trying to say is, you already put in a ton of paperwork, right?
Right.
Before you even got to the plea stage. See, people don't do a damn thing until they wait till they enter a plea guilty. It's like, okay, how do you plead guilty, not guilty? Okay, we're going to put in a not guilty plea. Go get an attorney, da-da-da-da. Then people will start getting their asses in gear. Then they'll go start finding an attorney because I just entered a plea of not guilty. So we already put in a half a dozen notices, letters, asking for bills, way before even the day for an arraignment.
Yeah, even before I got the notice to appear.
Right. We were proactive. We were just slamming them from every single angle. Right.
Yeah, you made that very clear to me to do that. You were very clear. You need to settle this on the prop side, and so that's what I had tried to do. And
you're right. And you were even trying to settle it with the public. You were willing to pay the public for their services. The public servants are coming out and helping you.
Yeah.
You were willing to compensate. You were willing to compensate the officers that you may have touched, and you were also willing to pay the public.
Yes.
We covered both. We covered the man. We covered man on man, because yes, even though he's wearing a uniform, bottom line, he's still a man. He's not a robot. And yes, you could have caused harm, or you could have caused a loss to him. And we made sure man to man it was covered. We covered the common law ground, and then we covered the public law. Was there any expenditures to the public, the public at large? Yes or no? No. Okay, then I don't know a debt. So then obviously I'm not guilty of anything, because debt, guilt means the same. So when we're getting ready to come for the arraignment to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, we could just show, well, I don't know what debt to him, 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 don't know what debt to society, and don't know debt to the wife. Everybody's like, I don't know what debt to nobody. So there's no guilt here. Debt, guilt, same thing. I don't know anything to anybody. So, where are we going to go with this, Judge? You can put a notice like that into the court if it got silly.
Yeah, and actually when it got close to the hearing date, I put in that notice into the court. I went to the courthouse. Well, prior to that, since I'd never been to court, I took a day off and actually watched the magistrate court and watched how they operated, just so I was kind of familiar with how it worked. And that was a learning experience all by itself. But
why was it learning? I mean, was it because that you seen what was going on and you knew the words that you've learned and listened to when you listened to me, and you were able to try to decipher what was really going on?
Yeah, that I had learned, a little bit from listening to you, and so when I watched some of these cases go through, I saw, I recognized some of the things you were talking about. So did you want to jump up and help the poor guy or something like that? Did you ever feel like that? They railroaded this one guy. It was awful. When I go to court and I just sit and watch, I want to jump up and I want to help the poor bastard so much, it's not even funny. Some people, I want to see them hang, and some people I just want to jump up and say, yell this out, say this. I just want to coach them. Get back to what we were doing. Once I got close to my hearing date, I had put in that notice like you told me to do. And I listed how I tried to communicate with the man acting as deputy sheriff, and I listed each correspondence and provided an exhibit with each one. and I also listed or wrote down that I tried to compensate the public, the sheriff's department, for their services, and I received a letter back from such and such, and the one question at the bottom of that notice was, they say I do not owe a debt. Who do I owe a debt to? And that was my notice. And that went in like a week before the hearing. And then, I'd been studying you crazily, listening to all your stuff, taking notes, trying to come up with notices for court if I had to go to court. And when I went in that day to go to the hearing, bailiff came out and called my name, and I said, yeah, I was here. I was outside the courtroom. Then the prosecuting attorney, his name was Greg, he came out, called my wife in, who was with me, and she went in and basically dismissed the charge against me. And then he called me in, and I went in and talked to him, and basically it was really informal. I talked to him, and he said, well, he's there. There's 3 charges against you. We're going to drop 2 charges, but we're going to keep one obstructing. There's probably going to be a $50 fine plus court costs. And I said, listen, I said, who did I harm? I used some of the things I had learned from you. And I said, well, who did I harm? Did I, I don't believe I did anything wrong. And he kind of looked at me funny, like, yeah. And I told him, I said, listen, I can't have these charges against me. I need them all dismissed. He said, well, go back out. And he went in and talked to, he must talk to the magistrate, but he came back out with a handwritten letter, and basically it was a diversion agreement where he said, as long as I didn't break any laws of the state or any other state or the federal government, that within 3 months the charges would be dismissed. And that was it. And we went in and we went into the actual courtroom. The magistrate was there, and he said, we had agreed to do this and that. And really that was it. And I came out, and that was pretty much everything. And until I received notices to appear about a month and a half ago, and I didn't understand that, why I was being asked to appear again, because, I thought we had already settled it. There was an agreement. As long as I didn't do anything, the charges would be dismissed. And then I think I sent them to you, and I talked to you. So I sent a couple letters, asked, what is the purpose for me to appear? I didn't hear back. I didn't expect to hear back. I sent a follow-up letter, and then I had a notice ready to submit in court in case, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was presuming that it was all because it was set for June 8th, and my charges were to be dismissed on June 5th, that was what it was about. But I didn't want to take any chances. And when I went there, basically he said, per our agreement, I'm going to dismiss all the charges, and they gave me a letter stating that they were dismissed.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought was great, because I've never seen anything like that where they had you dead to rights. You violated so many statutory codes. They had you dead to rights. I've seen where an attorney would put a motion in to dismiss for his client, but for the state to put a motion to dismiss, I never seen that. When they know that, they had all these charges on you, they put people in jail or they convict people of these charges every single day of the week, hundreds of them, and the state actually made the motion to dismiss, not you. So when you sent me that paperwork, I said, holy cow, the state made the motion to dismiss.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I figured, you motioned the court to dismiss this. Like you would just say, I wish to have this dismissed in its entirety or discharged, and the judge granted it to you. But no, the state made the request to dismiss. So holy cow, that opens themselves up to a kettle of, worms now. Holy cow, you dismissed your case. So you're the one who basically wasted everybody's freaking time with this ridiculous case that went nowhere, right?
Right.
Yeah, I told you all along. But no, you dragged it on. Thank God you didn't lose your job over it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. It worked out.
You could have really had a case against them, especially when they dismissed it. You really could have had a case against them. So, but like I said, thank God you just move on with your life. Yeah, thank God, like I said, because a dismiss is not as good as a discharge. You could have required the court to discharge it in its entirety, but then you would have been having to open up your own claim to have their case discharged, that is placing a burden upon you. So you can ask them to discharge their case, but they'll just say, no, we're just going to dismiss it. Because just like what happened to Rod Class thought his case was dismissed, and Rod Class found out a couple of months later that dismissed means absolutely nothing, because they came right back reopened the case against him, and put him on the house arrest or whatever the hell they did, put an ankle ball and chain on his ankle or something, whatever ridiculous nonsense they did to him. So it doesn't mean it goes away forever. And like I said, when I went to court back in 2007 for stupid driving, citations, I said, look, I'll grant the court a dismiss at this time. If you could use this paperwork to obtain funding, for the county, so be it. I know what you're doing I know what you're doing with the citation. I know how you generate money for the county with these citations. So if this dismiss doesn't cause a burden upon me, or I accrue no financial loss, use the dismiss at your leisure. But I'm telling you, if this ever pops up and it causes accruable loss, I am going to come back to the court, and you will discharge it, and then I'm going to seek compensation for causing me to accrue a financial loss. So, like I said, there's a difference between the dismiss and the discharge, but like I said, I'm just grateful that you guys get dismissals, because honestly, the odds of them popping up, unless you do like a Rod Class and just be flamboyant about it and start thumbing it in their face and saying, ha, 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 I kicked their ass, they ran scared, yeah, threw the Constitution in their face, boy, did they run. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Guess what?
No, I didn't know. I mean, to be honest with you, when the whole thing happened, I was an asshole. I was kind of an asshole. So, but I didn't harm anybody. I didn't do anything wrong, and
right.
I may have said some things I shouldn't have said, but you know what? Like you said, he was doing his job, and I'm okay with that. Not that I ever want it to happen again. I do not. But it's been a learning experience, definitely. And
right, like I said, we didn't write letters saying that the police officers trespassed into your domestic tranquility authority, because they were actually they were invited in. Somebody made a phone call from within the house and they arrived.
Right.
So we didn't go that route. That these are just a bunch of thug gangsters who think they're going to kick in my door without a warrant, without a bond. See, every case is different. Like, every case is the same. There's a controversy. Every case is unique because the facts and evidence are not the same. So, sometimes I'd say the cops came in your house and dragged you out of your house. Oh, we're going after these guys for trespass. Where was the warrant? Where was the bond? They're acting unlawful. We're going after these bastards for this, this, and this. But you call them up, so it's like, well, Carl, you say the cop comes in your house. That's under the domestic authority doctrine, you're the king of the castle, blah, blah, blah. It's like, look, somebody made a phone call from inside here. Do they believe that there's a citizen in that house, like a member of my family, because citizen means a member of the family? They're coming in. They rescue one of their members of their family, a citizen. They're coming in.
Yeah,
I said, it's just like if you had my son in your house. I'm not waiting for a warrant. I'm not waiting for a bond. It's called self-help. I am coming into your house, and I am taking my child, my property out of your house immediately before you rape them, kill them, brutalize them. I'm not waiting for the police. I'm not waiting for affidavits. I'm not waiting for warrants. I'm coming in. It's like if somebody else sees and assists me coming into your house, that's called being a good Samaritan. And actually, in some states in this country, if you don't act like a good Samaritan and you know that somebody needs help and you don't help them, you could actually be held liable for failing to give aid and assistance to your fellow man in a time of need. Like, well, I saw him bust. I saw that guy take that guy's kid. Or like that lady who was getting stabbed in Target store the other day, and all those people jumped in and helped them because this guy was just going to slice her head off. And all these guys jumped in and to protect this teenage girl from this gorilla, stabbing her, to death. So they jumped in and acted as a good Samaritan. If they just stood there and watched, like say there's a whole bunch of other, like say black people just videotaping it, like wow, Whitey deserves it, well she deserves it, she's white, they could all go to jail because they failed to give aid and comfort to their fellow man. There are laws in this land that you must provide aid and comfort to your fellow man. You can't just sit there and videotape. You can't just sit there and watch. you better be doing something proactive to help your fellow man. Yeah, like I said, I'm just grateful that, when did your case get dismissed? What day?
June 8th.
Okay, you sent me the paperwork pretty soon, then after that.
Yeah, I think it was the next day I sent it to you. So.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and I wanted to share it so everybody knew, so everybody, it's kind of like, my testimonial of how it worked, that what you talk about works.
People have been asking me, who've been watching YouTube videos, can you send me the copy of Joe's paperwork? Can you send me the ruling for Gus? I said, yeah, sure. Now, you people are happy you got it in writing? You got it with the court? You got the court document with the court signature on it, the court's time of day, the court stamp and seal? Yeah, great. Now you're happy? And people are like, well, yes, we are. I was like, okay, it doesn't take much to please you people. You just have to be able to stick your finger through the hand of Jesus Christ, and you just say, oh, yeah, there really is a hole in your hand. You are the real deal. Oh, yeah, okay. And now you're happy? Yeah, good. Now you can go on your life? Yeah, okay. Now you know how to just act like a man? Yeah. There you go. Make your life simple. Just call them out man to man and get on with your day. They're just waiting for a man to look here. They just want to see that you're acting like a responsible adult. And once they realize that you were willing to pay your debt to society, you're willing to pay your debt to the police officers, and they realize, you know what, you're a good man. They could have prosecuted you. They had every right to just keep going right on through, just run you right through like they run everybody else through. But they said you're different.
They could have.
Yeah. There's not a damn thing I could have done about it.
When I went and talked to at the first hearing, when I talked to Greg, the prosecuting attorney, I told him, he mentioned something about the code. I said, well, I said, I don't understand that code. I don't speak legalese. I threw that in there, and he looked at me and he said, he's there. I doubt it. I think you know more than you lead up to me. And which kind of told me that he can't prosecute an idiot. An idiot is somebody who's outside of their society. That's what it literally means. Somebody who's not within their society. He cannot pursue somebody outside. He can't pursue somebody who only knows Sharia law. Just like I say to people a billion times, look at that great case up in New York State where this black Nigerian man had sex with his 8-year-old niece. She popped out a baby at 9, and they arrested him. The guy went crazy. The guy's like, why are you arresting me? Where I come from, they give me a medal because the death rate for the last 10,000 years in the jungle is enormous. So if we don't start breeding the children, we don't start breeding with the women at 8, 9 years old, by the time they're 11 or 12, dysentery got them, a cougar got them, a lion ate them in half. We got to start breeding at very early ages with the women. So they said, that's the most ridiculous defense I ever heard in my life. So they actually got an ambassador from Nigeria, wherever, Cameroon, wherever it was, brought him to the court. And the ambassador said, he is telling you the truth. In our country, he'd actually get a medal. That he took his time out from his busy day to get his niece pregnant. It might not have worked the first time. He might have had to do it 2, 3 times for a week or two until she finally got pregnant. But he did his time. He gave to society. And our culture and our people will now thrive because he actually took the time out to have sex with his niece. So he's a hero. So the judge had to let the guy go. The people in New York State were outraged. That's common law. Not this silly stuff about Raplevin, Retrovas, Cyril Labartas, that all these people on Angela's show all the time say, well, common law is very strict, very disciplinary there, and it comes from Magna Carta and 1215. Oh, yeah, right. Sure it does. How do you explain what this Nigerian did in New York State and got to live to talk about it and not spend a day in jail? How did he pull that off? Common law. English common law? No. Nigerian common law. It's what he believes. He has done no wrong. And to convict somebody, they must do wrong. It's his belief. That's his common belief. That's his policy, practice, and that's his religion. That's how he lives. He's done no wrong. There you go. So that's common law, because I started reading this stupid chat board, and the guy keeps saying, well, Karl should be the king of the common law of Nigeria, the common law of the Eskimos, the common law of the Aborigines. What common law would you like me to be the king of? King of what?
The only common law I know is what I believe. It's my common law, how I believe I should live. And hopefully the people who surround me in society, when they perceive to have done something wrong, they will look at me and judge me and say, you know what, honestly, Carl's just being Carl. That's just the way he is. And he doesn't think that what he's doing is wrong. And honestly, he hasn't caused any harm to anybody. And you know what, honestly, we have no business to tell Carl what's right or wrong. Thank you. It's that simple. So all this common law nonsense, like, we'll call this common law. Well, so is this Nigerian. So the Eskimos. And they say, oh, well, the common law is a very strict common law, and then you can find it and through the writings of the English and the Roman, and it comes from Roman civil law, and it comes from the slave fucking beliefs in society. Oh, really? So the common law for the Eskimos, since they have no paper, no pen, no ink, what do? Write it on a snowball, etch it on the side of their igloo? Where does their common law come down for the last 10,000 years? Where do they store it? Where do they record it? In their hearts, in their minds, and in their actions, or their inactions. That's their common law. That's where you find their common law. Every single definition in every single legal law book for common law, the very first term says common law is unwritten. Unwritten. So now this is, it's a very precise science, and the English have been doing it for the last 700 years, and it's very accurate, and it's very, dude, that's English common law, okay? Back off, okay? You ain't got a freaking clue what the hell you're talking about, okay? You're talking about English common law, not common law. Common law is unwritten. It's the belief when the people at that particular moment of time.
Yeah,
and it changes so quick. What's that? You looked what?
I said I've looked those up. I've gotten on Entom Online and Black's second edition, and what you say is exactly right. It says it's unwritten.
So these people who cannot answer the show, and I'm not going to mention names, like Chuck, he knows what I'm talking about. They're ridiculous. They go on and on and on, and just ridiculous diatribes about what common law is. And dude, that's what you believe it is. And the Aborigines going to think what he believes. Nigerians go, oh, no, see, then you're going to have anarchy and chaos when everybody just believes whatever they want. Yeah, because we're all in the image of God and we're all God-like creatures, yes. And, God could believe as he wants to, and we can't limit the capacity of any man, just as we would not want any man to limit our capacity to act as we wish. We don't want to be bound by some other man's rules or some other man's laws. Yeah. Why would anybody want to be bound? I just, believe, it's in your heart. You know what's right, you know what's wrong. My dog knows when she shouldn't be peeing on the floor, and my dog knows when she shouldn't be jumping up and eating out of my bowl. My dog knows. I give it the look. And it's like, I'm doing wrong. Yeah, you're damn right you're doing wrong. You want penalty phase now? You want a fine? What do you want? Yeah, well, just give me the penalty. Yeah, right. It's common law.